Today's podcast is sponsored by Flower Reiki. Reiki with flowers. Each flower has its own unique energy. Call to schedule a session to experience this beautiful healing energy. Call Pam in Phoenix at 303-359-9163. You can also find her here at Beyond Today at 11223 North 28th Drive, Suite F like Frank, 101. And you can also call this number here at Beyond Today for Pam for that beautiful Reiki flower energy work at 602-374-4926. Also here at Beyond Today, we have sponsoring is With Love. They do yoga and different kinds of yoga, Vinyasa yoga, Hatha yoga, matcha and meditations, Qigong. Call Beyond Today at 602-374-4926 and schedule a beautiful session with Beyond Today. You can also reach With Love at 480-442-0258 here at Beyond Today.
Also sponsored by Beyond Today, a lovely place to have lovely friends. It's a community. It's fun. Come and join us today. We have Reiki shares. We have beautiful classes here. We have wonderful things that go on here on a daily basis. Check us out at beyondthe2day.com. Beyondthe2day.com. Check our website out. Lots of fun here at Beyond Today.
Also, tonight's podcast is sponsored by Christa Rimmer for Shifts and Giggles.
My name is Christa Rimmer, and I offer hypnotherapy. And under hypnotherapy, I do spirit releasement, karmic cord removals, and work on sacred contracts. You can reach me at 480-274-7482.
Welcome to Beyond Today's podcast, the Rod and Cindy podcast. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. Lovely.
Hey, how's everybody out there doing tonight? You guys doing out there? Good, good. Small crowd tonight, but it's because it was a little warm today, I think. Everybody wanted to stay inside. Tonight is podcast 14. Do you guys believe that? Podcast 14 already. That's awesome.
It's very awesome. It's such a blessing.
Yep. So having podcast 14, we thought we'd have a special guest, Christa Rimmer. Did I say your name right?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh my gosh, I actually said it right. Christ with an A.
There we go.
So I kept calling her Christ A. So anyway, I laughed at that. Nobody else has to laugh at that. It's one of my bad jokes. I'm sure Zach may have a rim shot for that one. Anyway, well, I'm so glad to have her here on podcast 14. My name is Rod Lyman. Welcome to our podcast tonight. To my right, I have the lovely, lovely producer, Zach Lyman. He's the one that runs all the little knobby things over here and makes sure he points at us and tells us when to get off the phone and off the air and everything else. So thank you for having us to your little studio, Zach. And to my left, I have the one and the only Cindy Mooby.
Hey, Rod, Zach, guests, thank you for coming. Christa and Dr. Mike, welcome. Thank you. I'm Cindy Mooby.
And who do you have to the left of you?
I have Christa Rimmer, our special guest for this evening.
Well, hi, dear. How are you tonight?
Good, good. How are you both doing?
Good.
Good.
Well, I'm so glad you came tonight. Was it a rough trip here, getting here?
It was a little bit of traffic.
A little bit of traffic.
Bad. Not bad.
Phoenix is known to have traffic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, isn't it nice? Behind the radio here, we don't have to be in the traffic right now. This is kind of nice. And do you know the young man that's to your left? He has been around for a while now. This man, he is the man with the tan. He has all these ideas and he comes up with some wonderful strategic things. And he is the master of gossip sometimes. His name is Dr. Mike. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Rod. I'm trying to think about the master of gossip. I'm not sure how that goes.
Gospel. Did I say gossip? I meant gospel.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Pastor Mike.
Right. Thank you, Rod. It's a pleasure to be with you all. We have the guests that you invite in always are stimulating, talking about spirituality and kind of our whole body, mind, spirit wellness. And I think I know, from those people gathered around the table here, that's a passion of what you helped to create through Beyond Today and Cindy. And I'm just meeting Christa tonight, but I know that this is a passion of how we not only individually create our body, mind wellness, but how we support other people on their journey as well. So always glad to participate and see what you're up to here at Beyond Today.
Well, I love having you here. I mean, you have a wonderful radio voice and that you have a wonderful radio face and that. So we're always glad to have you here, Mike. So
thank you, Rod.
I come up with something for you new every time, right?
That's good. I'm happy to have a radio face.
Awesome. So tonight's podcast is going to be about karmic cord removal, right? Yes. Is that what we're talking about? Karmic cord removal. How exciting is that? But before we jump into that, I heard that you did voices on the Rugrats. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, what did you do on the Rugrats? Zach really is a Rugrat fan. I watched it with him too. So
this was back in the 90s when the Rugrats were out and really popular. And there is an episode. It's when Chucky had a girlfriend and Megan.
Megan, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you remember that? That was awesome.
That episode was Cradle Attraction. And she's just terrible to him, but that's how she shows she likes him.
Wow.
Aw.
I love it. That's really great. Congratulations. I think that goes right along with all the rest of the guests here and the host and that, because Cindy was on a very syndicated TV show too that she was a star on too. What was that?
Oh, Wallace and Ladmo, right here, from Phoenix.
Isn't that amazing, man? And of course, everybody knows that Dr. Mike and that he was one of the Little Rascals originals of the Little Rascals.
Is that true?
No, it's not true. Sorry.
And Rod was Ronald McDonald.
What are you laughing at, Zach, for? Yes, I did play Ronald McDonald, but the Little Rascal down the end there.
That maybe in a past life. All right. Because I'm approaching 50 this year, but not 80. So, right.
Was that back when the Little Rascals were on?
In the 1930s? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The 1930s?
40s, yep.
Wow, Mike. Huh?
There was the new movie.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking, the new movie one. Because, that was BC,
But I do have a YouTube channel myself, all music that I've composed. So that's, you're trying to think of where have we appeared? Well, they could find me on my YouTube channel.
I was just going to tell them that you're a famous composer and that, and you have some really wonderful stuff that has come out and some of the, like Boston, right? You had been to and other places that were
last year I had premieres at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City.
New York City, yes.
And in Berlin.
In Berlin,
Germany,
too, yes. Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yes, and then Zach, who's over here, and that he's pretty famous at a lot of stuff, too. He's a famous comedian, actually, if you guys didn't know that. You guys check him out as Zach, Stand Up Live. He's just pretty famous in that all over the place. He's got some great jokes about his mom. So his face is all red. I don't have an idea why. Maybe it's his shirt. So karmic cord removal and that, give me kind of an idea what that even is about.
How it came about, the karmic cord removal, is that with my clients when they were coming in, I was noticing that we would reach an impasse, where we couldn't go any further, and I would rule out certain things right off the bat, and we would do some kind of age progression, age regression, just to see where it was coming from. If it was this life, it was a contract they made for this life, or if it was a contract they made in a past life, and we'd rule out spirit. If they had a spirit attachment, we would go through all these things, and there just wasn't a proper answer for them that seemed to help them, that seemed to get them through to get them to go on to the next level so they could get through what they were dealing with. And during a session, cord removal is something that's been done. They talk about cord removals, you can have cords to different things. This was more for me like a karmic cord removal because it didn't really have anything to do in this lifetime. it was almost like a residual memory, like your soul memory from a past lifetime with a past person. And in a past lifetime, you would have had one contract and you would fulfill that contract. But sometimes the memory, it just kind of goes into that cellular memory and it carries with you into this lifetime. And there's no reason to relive that lesson. There's just no reason. It's kind of like cookies in a computer. You just build off of it and it comes really fast. And you don't have to keep doing it over and over again. And so what I started doing with the clients was doing a karmic cord removal. And I would have them, put them under hypnosis, and I would have them just go through their body and find like a spot on their body that felt like the most tension. Because sometimes they would just like name everything in their body, but just find the one part that was the most tense. Typically, when it's a karmic cord, like something that's karmically affecting them in this lifetime, something they did in a past lifetime, it was around their heart, like their heart chakra. And I'm not sure if that's from the guilt or if there's like this connection because it's from somebody that's part of their, like their soul family that goes with them through lifetimes. But it's usually around the heart that the cord would come from. And I would have them give it a color. And then what I started doing was having them imagine that cord going back through time and space. And there are times when I would have them and I would just get a feel when we were talking, when I would need to stop as we were going back. Sometimes we would go back to where they were sitting in the room making their sacred contract. I know you guys had talked about sacred contracts with Courtney when she was here. And they would look at their contracts. I'd have them go through their contracts. Sometimes they're aware of where that cord is going to go to, and sometimes they have no idea. Sometimes they're completely surprised. And I have them sit at that table and look through their contracts. And sometimes the cord ends at the contract, and sometimes the cord goes from the contract to another person. So if it ends at the contract, what I have them do, if this is an old contract from a past life, I have them look at it and read through it. And then if it's something that they can honestly say that it's marked paid in full, I just have them, I say, just imagine anything you want and you're stamping that contract paid in full. Like if those big invoice stampers, I go and stamp it paid in full. And then we remove the cord from them. And then we remove the cord from the contract. We stamp after we've stamped it, and then we send the cord on its way and watch it disappear. And then we replace where the cord was. We replace it with light. You always want to, if you take something away, you always want to replace it with light because you don't want anything else moving in there.
When you say you send it away, and that I teach my clients that you have to go to a destination because there's a boomerang effect.
Right.
Do you believe in that?
I do believe that they can call it back because if they keep thinking about it,
Absolutely.
They'll call it right back.
Right.
So most of them set it on fire, and so it's gone.
Right.
So they'll set it on fire.
So that is a destination, yes.
Right. So most of them will choose to set it on fire. I've had some choose to cut it up into pieces and bury it, which I'm not overly fond of. And I try to. I only had one insist that it needed to be buried. And I had to believe that she knew her answer and that she knew what she needed, but didn't really like that one to be buried. Most of them will set it on fire when I say that it send it on its way and you watch it goes right. And goes up in flames and you watch it disappear.
Right, because you need this ashes. To be pretty much permanent, right?
You want it gone.
You want it gone. Right. Yes, absolutely. Right. Any other way that it possible, like burying it or cutting it up or anything else, that there's a possibility of it coming, you calling it back because you have to go all the way. I mean, there's no looking back when you're cutting these, right?
That cord that she buried was actually, it was a karmic cord to a child in her past life. And I think that's probably why she didn't want to bury it. Gotcha. Because I think in her mind, she thought it was in relation to the child she has in this lifetime. So there was that hesitation. So I just seal it with light and love as she was burying it. I'm sealing it with light and love, just so that. And I told her not to talk about it for you cannot talk about this for at least a week.
Oh, that's great.
So, but that was the only time that I was like, set on fire. But she didn't want to set on fire.
Aww.
But
I had a couple questions. I'll just start with one, and then I'll ask another one in a few minutes. Can you see the cords on the people, on your clients?
For me, I do a lot of work over the phone. A lot of my work is done over the phone through Skype and things, and I don't really see it, like maybe because it's the computer. But I feel it. I usually feel it, and that's when I wait until I feel it, and then I'll ask them, "Oh, is it here?" And then, or where is it located? And then okay, and then I know. And sometimes I sense a color. Probably about 80% of the time I'll sense a color to it, but I don't see it. I just sense it. I guess I'm not really visual though.
I'm kind of curious, me being a little bit of the color girl, when you ask them to put a color to it, or when you see a color, is it a specific color? When we talk the heart, typically it's the heart chakra color, pink or green. Have people mentioned other colors? And if so, can you explain what those colors represent, or what they mean to you or them?
Usually the color is red.
Okay.
Typically they'll do red, which even though it's going here, I feel like it goes to the heart because there's some guilt maybe holding in that space in their heart. Red, I'm thinking they're seeing red because this is affecting their ability, that's the root chakra, that's affecting their ability to have a strong tribe here. To have that strong foundation here is because they've got this residual cord, basically buried in their cellular memory. So typically red, and sometimes it'll be purple, or, it's hardly ever is it green and pink, even though it's located in the heart.
So it's fantastic to hear this process that you're working with, that you've developed. It sounds like you've worked intuitively, the training you've had with hypnotherapy, but then kind of gone onward to be able to explore this. And I'm thinking about people out there that's saying, oh, this sounds really interesting, but I've never done hypnotherapy and I'm afraid of what will come up. How do you help clients kind of walk through the steps of introducing them to hypnotherapy and then kind of taking them, to those next stages, so how do you help people who, if somebody walked in and saying, I'm really afraid of what's underneath the surface here, what do you think?
Typically for doing the karmic cord removal, it's after they've had a regular hypnotherapy session. And what I'll do is, I tell them the normal things, like, have you ever driven and just kind of gotten somewhere? And I said, well, basically you're under a hypnosis. And I talk about, I do like a low level. Let's just do a meditation is how I usually say, let's just do a meditation. Let's just do some relaxation. And then I'll use Linda Bennett's script for, liquid relaxation, just so they can sense the relaxation that they will have, and also understand while they're under hypnosis that they have complete control, that they can look up, they can move their arms, they can move, that they have complete control the entire time that they're under hypnosis. They can speak, usually they're just so relaxed they don't really care.
Why is it important, to moving into that, hypnosis, is such a wonderful tool, but why is this, I'm trying to articulate a question here. It's like, hypnosis can be used for, smoking cessation, to stopping smoking. And there's some things that are very practical. And it sounds like you're working in a realm where hypnosis is used on a very spiritual level. And so why is it that, why is it that hypnosis is a key part of this process?
While you're putting that together, let me throw that, because that's a really good question. But let me throw something else to add to that, because I really like that where you're going with this. Because we at Beyond Today, we've had a lot of hypnotherapists here, and that they work on a lot of basis of tobacco, addictions and things like that. And this is where you're going with this and that. I mean, this is some of this past life stuff that we're bringing in, and these cords and karmic cards and that are kind of an addiction to us because we've lived our life that way too. And that, so I just wanted to throw that out too. And that, sorry, dear, I didn't mean to, that, but it's amazing work though.
It's a really good question. For me, hypnosis, if you've been through something traumatic, the worst possible thing that you're afraid of is something coming up that you don't think you can control coming up. With hypnosis, you don't necessarily have to talk about those things that you don't want to come up. And they won't come up if you don't want them to come up. And I've had I think once people experience just a small part of the hypnosis, it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel safe. And it is very important in this kind of work where you're dealing with like spirit releasements, and you're dealing with the cords that are stopping you from living and being your highest self. It's very, very, very important to have trust. And hypnosis and the relaxation really helps. It really helps build that trust more so than any modality that I've worked with. I use a lot of modalities. I mean, I use Reiki, and I use cards, and I use toe reading, and I use life coaching. Hypnotherapy gets to the root and cuts out all of the shift, I guess. It just cuts it all out. And you just don't have to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, like traditional therapy. And
well, you're hitting on something that we all understand here. I mean, we love this because, first of all, non-judgmental, safe place, and everything else. That there's people out there that need that. I mean, just to be safe, to have somebody to talk about and talk to. I know Cindy and her clientele that they're the same way, in that they have to feel safe in this environment. And you're right. Hypnotherapy is huge because it gets to the core of everything, and it pulls things out that maybe you weren't expecting to come out too sometimes in that aspect.
I mean, sometimes some crazy stuff comes out. And I deal with as much as I said when I was taking classes, I'm not going to deal with this, I'm not going to deal with that. I deal with that all the time. Everything I said I didn't want to deal with, I deal with. I deal with very dark subject matter, very dark. And I think that's really why I love the beauty of hypnosis, because someone has to be able to trust me to lead them through something that is scary. And the karmic cord is probably the least scary of the scary things that I do. Least intimidating, I guess, for people to overcome. And hypnotherapy is such a beautiful bridge between people that are, super spiritual, and people that are like, maybe a little bit less spiritual. A lot of people know something about hypnosis, even if it's just like stage hypnosis. The difference being with hypnotherapy is that there is a therapeutic goal with the hypnosis, as opposed to just like, let's see what crazy thing I can get this person to do. It's a therapeutic goal. My goal is to help the client help themselves overcome this huge obstacle that's been in their life, all this life, maybe all last life. I mean, who knows when? And even if you don't believe in past lives, this life right now.
So how does that tie into the karmic cord now in the aspect of that? Like you just said about past lives and everything else and that. How far back do we carry the karma?
I had a client that carried her karmic cord back to like the 1700s, and it went through 2 lifetimes. And she just didn't, I'm just getting like chills. She just didn't understand why in this lifetime, she just had, why she couldn't just let her sister live her life, why she felt she was so responsible for her. And we were talking, and I go, I've known you since you were 2. I mean, do you realize that when you were twins, when you were inside your mother's womb, that you were the smaller twin. You gave up life. You gave up food for your sister. And then later you gave up your, when her sister was having, problems and they were, sent away, they both had to go away, even though it was only one. You gave up your life. You gave up your high school. You gave up, and then now you're under stress. So you can't get pregnant again. So you're giving up baby's life. I mean, you're giving up life. Have you ever wondered why that pattern is there? Why is this here? Do you feel that you owe life to her? And she said, no, I don't. And I said, so why are you still doing this? And so we went back to a past life and way back. And it turned out her sister 2 lives back had died for her. And the contract was, I'm going to die for you in this lifetime and you're going to die for me in the next lifetime. That was the contract. I provide this for you. You provide this for me. You have to have light and you have to have dark. You can't have just one without the other. You have to experience both sides. And so her sister died for her. Then in the next lifetime, we went back to this lifetime, and I called it the Sarah Plain and Tall lifetime because that's how I saw it in my head. Was she was standing there, and I see like there's a house in the distance, and she's standing there in this big field of wheat or something. And she has this big old bushel on her back, and the behind her is all clear, but all she can see is what's in front of her. And her husband had some injury. Her husband was her sister in that past life. Her husband had some injury and was in the house like drinking and not doing anything. And she was out there having to do all this farm work. And she couldn't handle it. She just couldn't bear it anymore. And she decided to commit suicide.
Wow.
So in her mind, because she didn't die for the person and she didn't like basically work until she died. And because she took that out when it came through, she carried that karma. She carried the karma that she didn't fulfill that contract.
Wow.
And so in this lifetime, she just kept giving up life.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
I mean, I didn't know where it was going to go, but.
Wow. So can you see, without hypnotherapy and that, can you actually see things? And that?
I saw that. I have a really strong connection with them, because I've known them since I was real little. But I saw that lifetime very clearly I saw her.
So just to ask you a question here and that on the panel here, do you see anything with us in our past lives? Any of us?
I don't.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I know, but I'm kind of curious, and that, I as you said that story, I could see the picture very well. And when I see a picture very well, like what way you did, you described it and everything else, I know you can see things, and that's what I was like. Oh, she can see things. What do you see? And so I'm not testing you. I just want to know what you see. What you see.
For us, like everybody up here, I just see green. I just see. Like green, like as far as the eye can go, just wow. green till it hits the blue. And it's just like waves and waves of green.
Anybody particular or just all of us that green?
I see us like standing and then looking like straight ahead and it's just green. And I don't see usually the lives will come up when I see things is usually when I'll tap into someone sort of, I guess. You tap in, and I'll tap in, like if I think that they're suffering a lot, I'll tap in just to see where it is, to see if I can kind of hold it for a space, which is everything that you're not supposed to do, but, sorry.
But that's your own.
But I do that, and I just hold it. I just, kind of hold it for a little bit. That's when I usually see it, is when I tap into them. Okay. So I'm not tapping into you guys right now.
Right. Well, is there anybody particular that you'd like to tap into?
It's like I keep tapping into yours.
I can feel you going right past me. I know that you're drawn to Zach for some reason, and that's why I'm very curious about that. Is that because I can feel that, and so is there something that you see or feel with them?
Well, I just keep seeing that very strong, there's a very older, maybe 29 to 30, and really, really, really strong. I think it's I don't know, armor that looks but it's kind of like the armor that looks like it's metal. Maybe it's like Asian, and it has like the long. It has like, looks like kind of like a metal skirt, but it has like two parts like a samurai maybe. But it's Asian. It's not like Scottish or anything. It's Asian. But it's like, and then the hat. But he's not like the highest of the people in that little army thing, but like maybe like third. But I just see the strength is what I keep seeing, is the strength. That's the word that keeps coming to mind. The strength. And I think it comes into this lifetime. And maybe you hold back a little bit sometimes, because there was great ego back then, maybe. So this time, maybe you pull back on it because you know that you have great strength. So it just feels like, I think you harness it very well this lifetime. And maybe not so much last time when you were like killing people. But
Did you see the card he drew this month today?
He was laughing because he had power.
Yes, the power card. Then you saw the strength within him.
The strength was, power, strength. Like when I think of strength, I usually think of more like battle. Power is like, for me, is like internal, and like strength is like external, I guess.
Okay.
So when I was watching him, that's what I was seeing was more the strength, the battling. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The physical strength. The physical strength.
Yeah, very physical. Say it again. Physical strength. Yeah. Yeah, that's Zach though. He's a beast. So yeah, he's got a lot of physical strength with it. So what do you think of that, Zach? He got his thumbs up. That's pretty amazing.
So it's fun sitting here and kind of observing this process, and the information that you can get for somebody else is then Zach gets to choose what he can do with that information. And I think that's what I was listening to you earlier, talking about your process of guiding somebody through the karmic cord release or past life, is that what I heard earlier is that it's really crucial that the person takes responsibility at a certain point. It's not like you can't give them all the information and saying, "Oh, look, I did this work for you. Now go and be happy." What is the key element? That you understand that how much you can do for somebody and when they have to take over for themselves.
The key element is that they have to come to the conclusion themselves. I can guide them and I can lead them, but they have to do the work and they have to come up with the conclusion themselves. I can see something, but if it doesn't resonate with them, it does not matter what I see. It has to resonate. It just has to resonate. I don't usually tell them what I see unless they're just struggling. Then I'll say, how does this resonate with you? Does this resonate with you? And try to, but I don't like to put answers in their head, because the most powerful sessions have always been when they've come to the conclusion themselves. When they find the answers for themselves, it has the most impact. When she started putting the pieces together of how much she has given up, that's what gave her the strength to cut the cord.
Right.
That is what gave her the strength, because otherwise who's going to cut the cord to their sister? Nobody's going to want to do that. But if it's you're like, hey, this isn't the cord, this isn't the proper cord, this isn't the contract you made for this lifetime. This is residual memory. It's the cache in your computer. Clear it out. Sorry, I'm doing computer references, but
that's all right. No,
but clear it out, because it's just slowing you down.
Well, it is, and that's I love watching as you was working with Zach and everything else, and that seeing how you take it. But you're right. It's like, here's the book. You now figure out what you need to do with it, and everything else, get rid of it. But my question really is about, you said it's not the right cord in that. Is there different colors in the cords, and you have to know which cord to cut? Like, like a bomb. It's like, you got to cut the blue, cut the blue cord. Okay. Don't cut that one.
I usually ask them where they're feeling the most. I do like a low level, just like a guided kind of relaxation meditation. Just have them feel where they feel the most tension. If they've been talking to me for like the 30 minutes prior in our intake, and they're talking to me, they're going to start feeling tense. Issues in your tissues, they're going to start feeling that tension somewhere. And wherever that is, it's going to just connect into there, and they'll feel that tension. So I'll say, just go, tell me where you feel tension. Now, where do you feel the most tension? And maybe it's not tension. Maybe it's like, maybe it's a burning sensation. Maybe it's an overwhelming sadness. Where do you feel the most emotion or sensation or feeling? Where do you feel that in your body? And that's where I go. And then I tap in just to make sure, because sometimes they tap into an attachment.
Right.
And so I tap in first just to make sure they're not hitting an attachment, because that would kind of, I mean, if it goes that way, it goes that way. Like, I always call it a choose your own adventure, because who knows where it's going to go. I've talked to people, and all of a sudden, like, a man's voice comes out of a woman's body, and you're like, okay, let's go. You know? Whee! And so
Cindy does the same thing.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, all right, it's a party. And so you never know what's going to happen. So I really kind of let them feel where it's at. And I don't say, oh no, that's not where you feel. I mean, I don't. Right. It's like they have to feel it.
Right.
Because if they feel it, they're also going to feel what it feels like to not have it.
Right.
Because they need a contrast, like I was saying, that the good and the bad, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, you have to have both, because you don't know light without dark. You don't know dark without light. They have to feel the pain, and that whatever it is, that sensation that cord is causing, they have to feel that before they can feel the release. Right. Then it's just much more powerful. Wow. So I've had people have attachments that have gone to the contract room. I call it the contract room because I just go through there. It's just something I have them go there. I have them look at the contracts, but I've had them say, no, the cord's going under this other door. I'm like, okay, let's follow the cord. So we follow the cord, and sometimes it's just gone to another person, and they either recognize the person, the energy of that person in this lifetime, or they know who it is.
Right.
I had one woman who just could not stand this person at her job, just could not stand him. And she didn't know why. And he was really, really mean to her. So he would say terrible things to her, and she had no idea why. And so when she went past the table and she went under the door, and so I said, okay, let's go ahead and open the door and see where we go. And she saw, and it wasn't him in this lifetime. It was a sensation of him from a past life, and she had cheated on him. And her love, she had cheated on him, and she let him go for somebody else. So in this lifetime, he was very aggressive with her, said mean things, and they worked together. She's always being afraid. She's always afraid of being let go. I'm like, why would you be let go? Like, you're like the top producer. Why would you be let go? And she couldn't explain it. She's afraid every single day of being let go because of that cord that attached to him.
I'll be done.
So we removed the cord. Well, this was like one of the first ones. So we removed the cord to the contract, but we didn't remove it from him, just her part. So he came in the next day, and the cord to him went to his belly, and the cord from her went to from her heart to the contract to his belly. So I just did the contract cord, and I did that contract, but I didn't do anything with him because I didn't. At the time, I thought, oh, you have to have his higher power to say it's okay. So I just left the cord, and he came in the next day and was just, my stomach hurts so bad. and she's telling me, now they all think I do voodoo there. So, and I'm like, I didn't do voodoo. But he was complaining about his stomach hurting really bad the next day, like for no reason. Like, my stomach's hurting so bad, I don't know why. And he was really nice. He was a lot nicer to her. He had mellowed out a lot. So I said, well, can I remove that cord now? Like, and she's like, okay. But I think part of her, so I just went through and I asked, his higher power, is it okay? We agree this contract is done. Can we remove that? So he, I don't know if it was just maybe he drank a lot the night before. I don't know, but we don't know what it was. But he came back and he had to leave early because of his stomach hurting so bad. So I thought it was
One thing that I got before, because I know my question is that I just want to say all of us together, issue in the tissue.
Yeah, that issues in the tissues was a great phrase. All of us, you sparked that.
Yeah,
I think all of us recognized right away that sense of, we store all of this. We store a lot of this in our bodies, and on a cellular level, but on a energetic level, all those things, the sense of, and that our bodies can be our guide, through, I'm hearing you say that, say, check in with your body. And And that's what we, in our modern age, we're so disconnected from our bodies that it's the work that I'm doing, exploring just on my own self, for myself, is just finding out more and more about, what am I holding on to that's limiting me right now? And checking in with the body is really important. But your story there reminded me of when the first time I ever did work like this was back 23 years ago, I guess 24 years ago. I had a shaman, Native American shaman, and she did this work long distance. And it was all about cutting cords, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was soul retrieval. That's what it was called, soul retrieval. And she did this work, and she said, "Oh, wait, you have this cord that goes to this specific person." And she told me who it was, and she said, "I'm going to cut that cord for you," and then she said, but most likely the people that we have these major cords with, she goes, that person's going to contact you within 24 hours. And I said, I knew who it was. And I said, there's no way on earth that person will contact me or call me, and the very next day, right after this, within 24 hours, that person called me, and I was floored. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're smiling and like you recognize that's that idea. Tell us more about what's going on, because that related to your story, that this guy actually had a physical manifestation of a cord being cut. But what's also, that whole idea that people will contact you, what's that all about? Or they may,
It's just that sensation. Like, we have these connections with people, and you'll meet people and you'll be like, oh gosh, it feels like I've known them forever, and they're strangers, and you feel these connections. And before I really explored this part of my life, I knew that I would meet people and be like, well, I think I've known them for a long time. I'd have these commonalities of the synchronicities with them. And there are cords between people that, especially past life cords, are so powerful that if you were to remove them, it's kind of like that phantom limb thing. You still feel it. And you'll feel it when it's removed. And that's why sometimes, like, I don't know how many people are aware of removing, those kind of cords. But sometimes you'll feel like a sadness when you think about somebody, and they may or may not know what they have done, but they may have just let it go, just have let that attachment to that idea. We hold ourselves prisoners to so many things, and there's no lock. There's no, the cage is open and we can walk out at any time, but we hold ourselves prisoners. And sometimes people just let it go, and they're like, I'm okay with that. I learned a lesson. I'm okay with that. The person that was the main person that maybe they thought that they were captive to, they'll feel it. They'll feel that, it's just like having like a really toxic relationship. And when somebody starts to pull away, they're like, wait, what? It's just like that, because the bond that is so strong.
So what do you suggest to clients, when these cords, they've gone through this really great work for themselves. They've helped, you've helped them to cut cords, they cut cords, they go back to the contracts, they burn the contracts, or whatever the process is for them to kind of create closure for themselves. And that person, well, what do you suggest saying, so that cause like, what if this person does, what if somebody tries to contact you? Somebody's trying to reestablish contact, on some level. What do you suggest to clients to help them to keep their boundaries?
Typically when it's a karmic cord, that's mostly what I do, is the karmic cord. It's not this lifetime. It's a past lifetime that's created some kind of karmic spiral in this lifetime. Usually with those, because we're healing it as, it's not so much cutting is so, to me, there's like that harshness, as opposed to like we remove it when we replace it with light. So cutting somebody off is harsh to me. Like, I'm cutting you off, it's harsh. But I'm going to remove myself from you, and I'm going to seal that space where I was with healing light. It's pretty cool. That's like a nice way to break up with somebody, I guess. But but I don't think they just might feel like it's a sensation, like I should call this person. And then they call, and typically with the karmic cords, and it's got chills, typically with the karmic cords, there's a lot of healing in that conversation, and that that meet up again, if they do contact the person, there's a little more healing and understanding, because those walls, that karmic part of it, that residual stuff from the past is gone. So we're dealing with just this present day contract. None of that old stuff.
Really quickly, in that, because Zach's doing the little finger thing. And that
I have a couple questions real quick.
I know. Go ahead. You first. Okay.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So real quick, I decided to do a hypnotherapy session for shits and giggles, just to see what it would be like. And oops, maybe I shouldn't have, but maybe I should have, because something came up. And so I'm wondering, without telling the story, we don't have time anyways. Do you think possibly I should go back and revisit that and then cut that cord of what I had seen?
I would say. I always offer like the free 30-minute intake always, and going in just to see what it is. And maybe there's just a little bit more healing that needs to be done, because maybe if you cut it, there is some kind of abruptness to it that you weren't ready for, maybe. Mm-hmm. And there was a part of you that resisted it. But maybe just going in and just kind of smoothing out that edge to it. Okay. And if it was a karmic cord, just making sure that wherever that cord went is also filled with light. Because if you leave it empty, then, it's just going to create karma from the past affects everything forward, and it goes everything back. If you heal yourself now, you heal your descendants and you heal your ancestors. And that's why it's really good to make sure that whenever you remove anything, you always heal it with light. And if you're feeling like you're feeling off, then I would say, yeah, let's go back and see what's going on. Let's just see, like, there, because something else might have come up. Because it's kind of, sometimes it's like it's a clog, there's like a clog, and you pull out one thing, and sometimes it's slow to get to the top, and then all of a sudden something else comes up, and it's like, and then a lot of things come up. So it could just be the one thing, and then all of this other stuff might come up. A lot more healing might be attached to that one little part. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I might have to have a session with you to clear that up. And then one quick question. I'm sure it's a quick answer. So earlier in the podcast, we were talking about colors, and typically in the heart zone area, you see the colors, or the client will share a color. Crazy enough, recently, someone asked me what color I see in my heart area. And at that particular time and day or moment, whatever, I saw yellow. And I didn't know how to, me being the color girl, I didn't even really quite know how to understand it. But I think talking with my friend, I think we kind of figured it out. But I just was wondering what your first thought was. The first thought, like yellow in the heart, I think it's more of like you're holding on to that's usually like some kind of like maybe guilt associated to something. Because or you're feeling like not enough. There's two just totally different things, but because it's going from the yellow, but it's coming up. And so it's almost like, I think like you're trying to get it out. So it blocks here, and it's something that needs to be said. Like if there was a point, I'm just feeling that, but if there's something that needs to be said that wasn't said, and it's stuck right here, and you need to like push it out, because that yellow that was here is moving up, and it's going to start affecting like your throat area. And right now it's stuck here in the heart, and it could be like that feeling of lack somewhere, or feeling like not enough. And sometimes that's like old childhood, like guilt, or I know that the enough part keeps coming into my mind. That is like the
good daughter syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. You're welcome.
A really quick question. That Cindy and I done past lives together. And that we have lots of past lives, tons of past lives together. Can I cut those off?
Can I cut them off?
Can I cut them off?
No. They're lessons that you learned, and you don't go back to past lives to say like, oh, I was a soldier, I was Cleopatra. You go back to past lives to because you don't want to keep doing the same lessons. That's like if every year you go back to school, it's third grade, and you had to start over in kindergarten, learn your alphabet. Nobody wants to do that. Like if you've been here 100 times, why would you want to go back and learn the lesson you learned in life 5? Right. So you go back to past life because maybe you forgot the lesson. And you go to this moment in that life that's going to give you the lesson that you need for this life. That's why you do past lives, not to reminisce or anything like that, or get stuck back in, Egypt or something. It's just.
I kind of like reminiscing with her in the past lives. So we've done a lot of fun things together. So it's kind of like taking a retreat.
Yeah, and that's very much of it. But it also. When it brings it forward into this life, it could give that retreat feeling. It gives you something that you're needing in this lifetime.
Right.
Maybe remember to take a break. Remember to know what's important to you. It gives you some form of reminder when you go back to those lives.
Fabulous. I just love that stuff. Can you come back and do another podcast with us?
Oh, sure.
We'd love to have you back, man.
Oh, thank you.
It was a great pleasure having you here tonight. Do you have something coming up? You have a class or something you want to poke out there? Or?
I don't have any classes right now. I will be doing, I am going to be doing some more YouTube videos. And you can catch me on my YouTube. It's under Christa Rimmer. And I will be doing some more videos in regards to hypnotherapy and my own self-healing. And, but I do offer free 30-minute intakes. And so if people just want to get just a sensation of hypnotherapy, or they just want to see if it fits, if it's a good fit for them, they're welcome to contact me and do the 30-minute intake. It's just, 30 minutes and we can see what works for them.
How do we contact you?
Phone number is 480-274-7482.
And that phone number again?
480-274-7482.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, you have anything coming up here? Except for your wonderful weekends that you always... Do you have any traveling plans, I should say?
Traveling plans.
You're always traveling.
I'll be speaking at a retreat in Tahoe at the end of September. So I'm looking forward to that, getting prepared for that, a spiritual retreat.
Was that the one you didn't invite me to?
But the invitation must have got lost in the mail. I'm sorry.
Okay,
right. Yeah. So anyway, no, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, because for me, speaking at a spiritual retreat like that is about my own spiritual growth and saying it's responsibility, taking responsibility for who am I and how do I show up in the world. And so I love those opportunities that come up because it's like saying, okay, it's a way for me to check in with myself and say, all right, how am I being responsible to the gifts I've been given? And I appreciate the environment where people like that can, spend time thinking about spiritual issues, but also saying, I take responsibility for my own growth. So, and have the opportunity to support each other.
Beautiful, beautiful. Cindy, what do you got coming up here?
I believe there's a color class coming up in October. I'm drawing a blank on the day, but if you go to Beyond Today's website, you will find it there. Also, if you sign up for an color energy session with me, you can get $10 off.
Oh my gosh, what a deal. $10 off.
Oh, $10 off.
How do they reach you to get this $10 off coupon?
Yes, you can reach me at Beyond Today at 602-374-4926.
Awesome.
Thank you. Why are we laughing?
Well, nothing. The crowd out there was laughing like that. Sorry we didn't get out to you guys. Any questions out there? Sorry about that. We have some wonderful stuff here happening at Beyond Today. There is a pinpoint class coming up here. That's pretty exciting to learn about meridian points and touch therapy with that. Pinpoint class is a 5-week course, and I am teaching it. So that'll be pretty fun. We also have the Indian head massage class coming up here, which is really fun. We've been doing Indian head massages here at Beyond Today. It's been a lot of fun practicing and playing with that. I think Cindy has a fair coming up in September. I'm not sure the date of it yet, but we'll get back to you on the dates. You can go to Beyond Today and see those. And that, you get a lot of great things. If you want to reach me at Rod Lyman, I'm a motivational speaker. I am a structural therapist. I am a medical intuitive. I am an instructor. And I'm here at Beyond Today all the time. I think I live here. You can reach me at 602-374-4926. Zach, you have anything you want to add? All right. He shakes his head no. So we're going to leave you guys with some beautiful outgoing music as we say goodnight to everybody. Night, Mike. Night, Krista.
Good night, Rod.
Good
night,
night.
Cindy.
Good night, Cindy.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Krista.
Good night, crowd. Good night, Billy. Good night. Good night, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.